right, we should be live if everything's working correctly. We always question whenever we first start, so you guys can help me out as you start to join in on the comments. Let me know if you can actually hear me. I'm going to be checking on the phone. Once everything is live, then we'll get started here, because I'm excited to talk about this topic that really, what it's touching on is like how to make sure that your website is actually persuading people to become higher paying clients versus just, hey, it's a portfolio and maybe if you like the words I write, you'll maybe inquire. So that's what we're going to be talking about. And the reason why we're talking about this, especially in this group where, you might say we're primarily focused on SEO. The thing is SEO is becoming so advanced in an age where we have artificial intelligence that it's really hard to separate it from, say, branding or from copywriting or from enter in whatever other thing that you want to enter in here. And so when we talk about SEO, it actually is affected by whether or not you have an effective sales psychology baked into your website. And so that's what we're going to be talking about. If you have joined in with us here, I love knowing who is watching with us. So if you would go into the comments section now and just let me know where you're watching from. You can put in city and state. And then if you would, just to make sure that not only you get notified more about these live streams that we do every week, but also so other people would know, please hit that like button. It takes you like 2 seconds. So go ahead and hit it for me. And as you do that, like I said, comment, let me know who's watching and from where, and whether or not you're excited to talk about this particular topic, which is really, do you want to make more money with more ideal clients? And so I'm going to tell you some things that I recommend that you not do, as well as some things that you should be doing when it comes to selling on your website. And this is based on stuff that I actually work with people on. If you've been inside this group for a while now, you know that I have a coaching / mentorship program called Dream Clients, where I actually walk people through a transformation where they rank on Google. But a lot of the stuff we're working on is your copywriting, and it's your website flow and how people interact with your website and how you're talking with people. And the biggest thing that I tend to see is that people tend to want their website to be something that is like, okay, here's my website, now look at my photos. And this is really the number one thing that I see causes people to drop off. And if you're not familiar with, say, how Google Analytics works, we can actually see what people are doing from page to page to page on your site. And so what I've done over time is I go, okay, well, we know when people do, when they come to homepage and then they do this next thing and then this next thing, generally speaking, at a high percentage, they just leave. They don't really interact any further. And so when we see those patterns over time, we say, hey, that's a problem. That pattern, that, homepage, page number 2, page number 3, page number 4, etc., that sequence of events is bad at converting. And therefore, we have to do some concrete things on your website for them to start doing what we think they should do in order to align themselves with a pathway that is, again, say homepage, page number 1, page number 2, page number 3, so on and so forth, that results in the highest amount of conversions. For example, if you were only converting, say, 2% of your visitors, like most of the websites that we tend to see right out of the gate, that means for every 100 visitors, you're only getting 2 inquiries. But if all of a sudden we make changes, and so instead of 2%, 10% are inquiring, well, now you've got 5 times the amount of inquiries. Instead of 2, you've got 10 for every 100. And this is how, if you've watched my live stream that I did a few weeks back on why I believe every single wedding photographer mathematically can make at least $111,000 hold on, let me say, I always mess it up. Y'all know if you've been around for a while, $111,111.11. Mathematically speaking, it's because if you've got the right amount of visitors, which there's enough people looking to have a wedding photographer, but if you get the right amount of those to inquire, because mathematically you have structured your website to do so, there's no reason why, again, mathematically speaking, every single person that is a professional wedding photographer, there's no reason why they shouldn't be able to yearly make $111,111.11. We did that math on, I don't know, this is maybe about 2 months ago. We did that live stream. Let me know if you watched that live stream, by the way. Do we got any like OGs in here that have been on the ball with attending? Let me know in the comments. Be curious to see if that's the case. So okay, here's the next part before I get too off track. So there's pathways that we see that work. Then there's pathways we see that don't work. That's one aspect. But then there's also things that happen on individual pages that we see causes people to drop off. I will tell you right now, one of the most terribly converting things that we see is when someone comes into your homepage, and then if you have nothing on that page that actually captures their attention, generally they scroll to the bottom, they scroll back up to the top, and then they go to if they're on desktop, they go to the furthest left option in your navigation. So if you don't have a home button, maybe if you're like most, a lot of times that's portfolio. Now, I'll tell you in a second why I believe that's terrible if that's what's happening on your site, which if you have not been through my program, it's probably the first thing people are doing on your site at the largest amount of volume. So again, on your navigation, generally speaking, what happens is the one on the furthest left on desktop gets clicked, and that's where they go next. If that's portfolio, like what many people do, portfolio tends to have one of the worst pathways that we see. And there's a psychological reason why, and I'll explain it here in just a little bit. And then what you should be doing instead of that if you want to be better at selling. Okay, so think of the inquiry and then the sales process is not done in a vacuum. It's impacted by how they see you on your website, right? So if you do X right on your website, Y website right on your website, Z right on your website, they're primed or they're pre-framed to become dream clients, and or if you want to define dream clients, these are people that will spend your prices and they can't help but actually find all the good things about you. So back to the pathway. When we see people go to homepage and the homepage isn't attractive, there's just no real, hey, engage with me here. They will scroll down. They'll look at all the pictures. They'll scroll down to the bottom. Then all of a sudden they scroll back up to the top and they click the furthest left thing in the navigation. If it's on mobile, they'll either click, generally, if it unfolds like on mobile, you got to push the, 3 lines or whatever it is. That'll drop down. And a lot of times they'll either click it in order, they'll click the middle, or they'll click the very bottom one. So again, the order of which you have the options in your navigation actually can matter, believe it or not. And I definitely don't like portfolio to be the one that they're clicking on. That's pretty much the worst conversion pathway that we see all the time, meaning when people go homepage, portfolio, that is almost the worst conversion pathway. They might do some other stuff after that. A lot of times it's homepage, portfolio, that if you have a pricing page, they go there and then they go back and they leave. That sort of action will hurts your Google rankings, for one, but it's also an indication that you're getting commoditized and price shopped. And that's why we've seen, again, the numbers, and I'm not just telling you this because I think it's what I think, and I imagine it. No, this is like what we see when we look at people's numbers. When they're going homepage, portfolio, and then again, they might go back to homepage and leave, especially if they don't like your photos, right? But let's say they do like your photos, it's homepage, portfolio, then usually it's either a pricing, investment, or if you don't necessarily have that, a lot of times it's either if you have an FAQ, they go there. If you don't have that, they go to contact form because they're just looking for pricing. We call it the price shopper shuffle. And the problem with that specific pathway is that they're coming in and they're trying to get an immediate fix by seeing the photos you have to offer. And by having that portfolio option there, they're coming in and they're like just getting this like massive dopamine dump, because as humans, when we have a visual stimuli, there's a dopamine trigger, at least at the immediate, but then the more that you harp on that same little trigger, the less and less effective that trigger becomes. So they see all your photos, and each successive photo of yours that they see, it becomes less and less impactful. Because guess what? We don't have a million photos that are just ever increasingly novel in order to wow them with. Like, you're just not going to have that. Like, maybe if you are, I don't know, Erica and Lanny Mann, two-man studios, or someone that you literally are going to have just endless amounts of crazy looking photos. That might be one way to tap into this if you really want to. But for the most of us, the large portion of us, you do not want them to come into your website just looking at photos. You want them to begin to, if you want to nail the sales process, you want them to begin to trust you. And looking at your photos, looking at your pricing does not create that. Okay, if you're following with me here, what I'm trying to say is we do not want them focusing primarily on our photos. Instead, we want our photos to serve as a sort of reward system that as they go deeper into the steps we want them to go deeper into our flow of our website, they're rewarded with seeing photos. But there's a balance. If you've learned anything about dopamine, I highly recommend you do. There's some great resources on dopamine. Dr. Huberman, Andrew Huberman, has a podcast. You ought to look up some of his dopamine stuff. Dopamine is just crazy because it's like if you begin to understand it, you understand how to do websites as well, because we want to trigger dopamine. It's sort of this like reward molecule that whenever we trigger it, it gives this sense of like reward in it, but it also drives people to want to go deeper. But there should be a balance between how much we're trying to reward people and trigger dopamine and how much we lead them into deeper aspects of our, say, copywriting. So for instance, one of the things I found as I was working with one of my dream client members was that people, whenever there was a photo on the right side of the text, meaning the photo is on the right side and then there's text on the left side if you're looking at the screen, that actually would convert worse than if the photo was on the left side of some text that we wanted the people to read. And you might go, what in the world? Why would that be? So I'm giving you a little tip here. By the way, this is stuff I've had to work hours and hours and hours and hours, trial and error to discover this sort of stuff. So please listen close because I'll save you tons of pain if you do. Okay, so again, we're looking at this scenario where, okay, the photo's on the left and all of a sudden photos on the right, text on the left, and people are interacting with it less than when the photo's on the left and the text is on the right. And you go, why would that be? The answer, at least what I have found, is think about it. We read left to right. And there was actually a experiment that was done, I forget where, this is maybe 5-6 years ago, I think, where they had people look at images and they had a thing that would actually track their eyeballs across the images. People, generally speaking, would go left to right. They would also be heavily impacted by areas of low to high contrast. So again, left to right, low to high contrast. So if you build out a section, you want someone to interact with it, before we even consider how good your copy is, we have to tap into what's called conversion aesthetics. So this is one of the big points that I want you to take away from this, is that aesthetics are helpful for you only in as much as they help your website convert better. This is super, super important, because what we've noticed is like you can have a beautiful website, but it doesn't necessarily convert very well. As photographers, people that are very focused on aesthetics, a lot of times we build with that in mind. We build with aesthetics in mind, less a focus on the actual conversions. Now, again, in dream clients, I try to help people by going, okay, let's look at the metrics, let's look at the numbers, let's do the stuff that converts while also making it look pretty, while making it look aesthetically pleasing. We want both of those two worlds to come together. But back to this scenario with, okay, the photo on the right, the text on the left, people's eyeballs will be on the text and then jut over to the image because they're going from an area of low stimulation to high stimulation so much that they skip over what we want them to read. And then in their subconscious, their brain is telling them that they've already interacted with that particular section because they went from left to right. And so now the brain does not provide them with focus. And then they go vertically down. So they descend down the page, right? So again, just to really harp on this, Subconsciously, they're going left to right, but they skip over because of the increased momentum caused by the fact that the stimuli, the highest stimuli, the photos on the right side, their brain has skipped over the text and interacted more fully with just that image. The left to right the movement from left to right has now told the brain that they have engaged with that section fully. So now their brain is signaling to them to descend down the page to pass up that section, having missed out on the copy. Now you might say, well, why does the copy matter so much? Why does that even matter? Well, because one of the best ways that you can start to sell is by getting people to read your text, your copy, so that they not just read things where you talk about, yeah, I'm going to help you feel relaxed and here's all the special stuff about me. What we actually want them to do is to feel that you understand what they value and you celebrate that. And because of that connection that you create, that they become willing to allow the picture of you in their own mind. When they can see you in a position where they want to become more vulnerable with you because they're almost gaining like a deeper sense of themselves. When you write copy that shows their values and helps them more deeply feel their own identity, they want to allow a picture of the person that's doing that, namely you, to occupy a deeper level of their consciousness. And the best way to understand this is if you were to close your eyes right now, and you can do this if you want to. I'm not going to hypnotize you or anything, but I'm just saying you can do this if you want or not. If you were to close your eyes right now, you would still see a picture of me. And I've done this. I gave a speech one time and I had everybody close their eyes. I said, tell me things about myself. Everybody starts with the curly hair. You probably did too. If you did, go into the comments right now and say curly hair, because I bet you did. There's like a 99% chance that's what you that's what you said was curly hair, right? But the next thing I asked this audience was, tell me what I value. And one person says, family, hard work. Like they start telling me stuff that I value. And I go, how can you know that? You know, there's almost this intuitive sense that just by seeing me and having a little bit of context, people can tell me what I value. But the reality of it is that someone coming to your website, they're either going to want you to enter in their own psyche, again, like a mental model of you, right? Because you can exist, but until you exist in their own heart and mind, they cannot trust you. Meanwhile, what most photographers, what most of us are doing is we're, giving all these reasons that you're different than the next photographer. You're trying to persuade the logical mind to let your guard down because, I'm the best, or we don't say that, but we're trying to imply that we can overcome the logical mind here. This actually causes more defense mechanism, thus causing the people that are interacting with our website to default to a commoditizing process, namely the price shop or shuffle, which is homepage, portfolio, investment, bye-bye. That's why people price shop shuffle, is because there's no trust. And the way to combat that is by using conversion science, conversion aesthetics, by having good copy, because it's one thing to have the conversion aesthetics. Like if we were to say number one thing here that you got to have if you're going to sell on your website, you got to have the conversion aesthetics. That's if this image, and this is just one example, but if the image is on the right-hand side and the text is on the left, they're not going to convert very well because it's just how the subconscious works. Your image should be on the left and your text on the right. We also talked about like what's in your navigation. People tend to go left to right. So on desktop, they're going left to right. So if portfolio's at the far left, guess what they're probably going to go to more than anything else. Now, ideally, the homepage actually converts them and gets them to particular areas. But let's lay out that all aside. The point here is that, okay, conversion science says we got to not just look at, how we feel like the web page should be or the website should be. conversion science says what actually converts. That's what I've done. That's what I consider myself, I guess you could say, a specialist in, is conversion science. How do we optimize based on data? We see people doing these things and it ends in the contact page being reached and people filling it out. We see people doing these things and they hit the contact page and they don't fill it out at as high percentage. We see people doing these things and they don't even hit the contact page. Well, we should make people do more of the thing that led them to the contact page and they inquire. That's doing conversion science. But then it's going, okay, well, conversion aesthetics. We need to have the aesthetic. Again, that's the image on the left and the text on the right, not the other way around, right? Because that's just tapping into human psychology. The next thing that you need to have is your photos need to be used in a way that rewards people for going deeper. That already presupposes that you're not just feeding them portfolio and burning out their dopamine system, but you're giving them photo rewards as they go deeper and deeper into the content on your site. Okay. The next aspect that I'm putting in here is your copy actually has to be good. That means that it creates connection. It does not mean that it sounds good to you or that it's eloquent. Y'all, this is one of the things I could harp on this because I see people being like, oh yeah, like that copywriter, they write so beautifully. It's like poetry. I'm like, yeah, but does it convert? Does it convert? I had somebody saying, yeah, I was thinking about using this copywriter and, they cost this many thousands of dollars. And I was like, well, what's their website? So I went and checked out the website and I was like, well, okay, this looks good. But why don't they share any testimonials of actual results that they've gotten people? They're just like, oh yeah, like here's some good copy. I'm like, yeah, where's the science? Where is we were able to take this person from, people spent this much time on the site and converted at this percentage to this much time and converted at this percentage. Where's the measurement? There was none. Now, I'm not saying that they didn't do a good job and that their copy doesn't convert better, but it's suspicious to me, especially when I go on a site that is for a business that's promoting anything that, hey, I've got this service that can help you, that can't show me solid case studies and or testimonials of here's a definite result. We see this with SEO agencies all the time too, by the way. They'll really focus on, well, look how much, more traffic this website got. And I'm like, okay, cool. It got more website traffic. That's great. But what was the bottom line? How do we influence the bottom line? Same thing for you guys. Like as you're watching, I'm like, you really want to focus on the bottom line, probably more than anything. Right? But copy in this particular frame of reference is not just, oh, it sounds good. Copy should be that it helps them see themselves more clearly. And then because of that, it helps them want to see you more clearly. And that's pretty much it. I was going to go a little bit deeper, but to keep it simple, good copy is words on a page or wherever. It's words that make them see themselves more clearly and therefore gives them a desire to want to see you more clearly. Okay. Hope that makes sense. I don't know if I'm getting comments or not because I feel like the comments are not working. It's what I get for using a new software for all this stuff. So if you guys are commenting, asking questions, great. Love it. Please do so. And I'll try to answer after we get done here. I'll try to bring it up also here on my laptop. We're getting lots of comments. Nice. Yeah. So good. Says Caroline. Heather says, text underneath is best. No, text underneath is fine. Just text underneath, that's really a different scenario. I think in my screen. Yeah. I guess I'm looking at the comments now. I don't know what I'm doing, guys. I'm new to this software. Let me try to answer these questions real quick. I don't know if you all are seeing them or not, but I know that we had a comment from, I think it was Heather about the text underneath. Is it text underneath better than say text to the right of an image? Neither. It just depends on the section. But what we've seen not convert as well is text to the left of an image, just because it sort of hijacks the brain's natural desire to go from left to right. So when you put the higher stimuli thing at the right, it causes them momentum to move from left to right at a much more intense, quicker rate. And so they'll have less attention span on the lower stimulus text and more attention on the higher stimulus image, visual image. Okay. Rebecca says, this is so good. Thank you. You're welcome. Brecca says, so we want the contact me stuff on the left. Well, it depends, because, there's Building a Story Brand is a book that I have not read, but a lot of people have talked to me about it. They say, oh yeah, you kind of have some correlation, but there's a lot of stuff I actually disagree with, because I think the book is primarily written for like e-commerce, like usually lower priced items. As wedding photographers, we're not low priced widgets. We are luxury artists, right? So like I generally don't want someone to go to contact me, and I don't even prompt them to go to contact me. Like if you have a contact button that is like either in the first section that they see, or you've got it like highlighted or something, you probably read Building a Story Brand. Am I right? Like anybody know what I'm talking about here? If you know what I'm talking about, go into the comments. Hopefully I'll see the comment. I'm definitely seeing some of the comments. I'm going to try to like finagle things around, see if I can see the comments better. So yeah, if you've got the button up high and it's like highlighted, it's the first thing people see, you probably read Building a Story Brand. That is what I have found. What I'm saying is that generally speaking, I'm right now focusing on the fact that you don't want them to go to your portfolio. Ideally, and this is what I tell my Dream Clients members, I say just don't have a portfolio page. At least don't make it like something that people can find, like in your navigation, at the very least. So T says, good stuff. Can we get an amen? Love it. I don't know exactly which thing you were talking about there, because I'm just now kind of getting to the comments, but hopefully it was maybe multiple things. Maybe it was multiple things that you wanted an amen for. But yeah, guys, let me know if you haven't commented yet. Like, let me know if this is making sense to you. I do actually I think have all the comments up now, and I'm also seeing we only have like 2 likes. We have like at least 20 people here watching this and have 2 likes. That is a terrible conversion. That's like that's like a, hold on. I'm not even going to do that math in my head right now because I can't talk and do math. Okay, there we go. We're up to 5 now. 2 out of 20. I cannot, guys, I could swear to you, I cannot do math and talk at the same time. I can do math. That's a 10% conversion. That's not the worst in the world. Now we got 9. Okay. All right. Thank you all so much for hitting the like button. You want to hit the like button. It helps people see, helps you see it more, helps other people see it. Everybody wins. So what do y'all think? Do you want some more? Do we want to go a little bit deeper in this? Or are you guys done? Are you like, okay, Jeff, no, I feel like I just drank from a fire hose. I cannot digest any more of this stuff, because I can go for quite a while. So let me know in the comments if you want to go deeper. I'll talk just for a few more minutes about this. Just comment, I don't know, let's comment more. There you go. For lack of a better word. I see some keep goings coming in. Yes, okay. So let me try to pick back up where I was before I got distracted by trying to find the comments. I have lost my pace here. Okay, so we've already talked about conversion science, what conversion science is. We've already talked about conversion aesthetics, right? So building your site out in an aesthetic way that focuses on creating more conversions. We've already talked about the next most, not necessarily the next most important thing, but I would say, you can have really good copy and people not read it. Okay. I'm saying like legitimately good copy, but if your conversion aesthetics are off, like people won't even read it. So what I'm trying to tell you is that the strength of your website selling is going to be found in how well your copy can create a picture, a mental model of you in the person's mind. And if you've been an OG, I know Rise is here. She's an OG. Kim knows what I'm about to talk about. Kim, you'll resonate with this because we've already talked about it. If you got your hands over your face and you're playing peekaboo with a baby, like the reason that they love that stuff is because their object permanence has not fully developed. Like object permanence is our ability to like know something exists without seeing it. So like right now, again, like if I close my eyes or you close your eyes, like I still exist. Like, I still exist. You can see a picture of me in your mind, but a baby does not have that. Like a small baby that enjoys peekaboo, like you disappear, you uncover, you're suddenly magically there again and you're super glad to see them and they think that's hilarious. Well, think of the people coming to your website like that. They're like little babies in the sense that they can see a picture of you, they could interact with your website and all this stuff, and they could then close the lid to the laptop, walk away, and never think about you again. But if you do a good job of, dare I say, imprinting your DNA upon that visitor, then even if they close that laptop lid, they're going to almost feel like there's still a connection to you. So when y'all going to get me started because this stuff is exciting. When they go to look at competition, if you've imprinted them with your DNA, your mental model, they'll actually feel guilty. You've probably done this, by the way. If you've ever gone, and I'll tell you my own stories, and you tell me if you relate to this. There's a doctor that I was going to that he really kind of like gained my trust. Okay, he's a good doctor, good doctor. There was certain things that I thought, you know what, he's a good doctor, but like there's this other doctor that I really kind of want to try, and I started looking at this other doctor, and I was just like, I felt so guilty because I'm like, I really trust my doctor. I literally, and I can think logically about it. I think that's not necessarily healthy. I'm not saying that's a good thing that I should feel that way, but it shows the power of imprinting, a mental model imprinting. And again, it just goes to convey everything that I'm saying here. If you've had that experience, you let me know in the comments. Let me know I'm not the only one, that I'm not crazy and mentally deficient here, right? Just let me know. So our copy does all that though, right? So copywriting is not about how fancy it sounds. It's about whether or not it creates connection, whether or not it taps into that object permanence, so that when they shut the laptop lid, do they still feel our existence? That's really what we're after here. So with that being said, I know we've got a few more comments, and look, if you've got a question, now's the time to ask it. Don't wait. I'm going to get to those. And before I do so though, just say, if you like this stuff, I highly recommend that you do two things. I'm going to provide a link before we get to the questions here, and we might go a little bit deeper on a few other things, but I just want to say this. If you like this stuff, you might want to consider getting on the Dream Clients wait list. Now, Dream Clients is my mentorship program. It's not open to the public. However, you can get on the wait list, and when a spot opens, if a spot opens, we will reach out to you and just talk about what it is, make sure you understand it, see if it's a good fit, and see if you're a good candidate for getting on the inside of that. We typically look for very specific situations. We want to make sure that we can help thoroughly because we do want it to be a transformative experience. If that's you, if you like the stuff we've talked about, this is like scratching the surface, guys. So I'm going to put the link for the wait list there in the comments. Okay? So again, if you like this stuff and you'd like to possibly be a candidate as a Dream Clients member, again, somebody in my mentorship that I handhold and walk you through how to do this stuff while ranking on Google because of it. Because guess what? It's not only your people that will love this stuff, but as Google sees people interacting with your website, the way that we're talking about it, Google's like, this website rocks. People look like they love it. We should rank this one because if people see this website, they'll think Google's awesome because we provide the best websites. And so then more people those people will keep using Google, and more people will use Google because Google stays the best search engine. And then more people will see the ads that we put up, and then we can charge those advertisers more money. So we make more money. All that to say is Google, in short, really likes all the stuff that I'm talking about today. That's one of the reasons why we see people rank so fast. We're talking like 30 to 90 days when the average in the regular world of SEO, although it's very slim chances that you'll ever rank, the average time is like 12 months. In some cities, some high volume or high competitive keywords, it might even be 15 months. And again, it's a small percentage that ever do rank. In fact, I know one person said, hey, this SEO agency told me they would not work with me because I'm in this city that is, that is, so hard to rank for. I was like, you can rank for that city. I've seen much, this person had been in the market for like 10 years. They very established. I'm like, yeah, you could probably rank in 30 to 90 days. So this was for New York City. I think you can rank in 30 to 90 days. They wanted to rank for Paris as well. I was like, yeah, I think you could rank there pretty quick too. And they're like, well, this SEO agency told me it couldn't be done. And I'm like, I mean, I have somebody in LA that they've been in business like a year and a half. Their domain's very new. And they're literally on the first page of Google for LA, and they're getting a good chunk of inquiries every single week with high-paying clients. So, you know, the point I'm getting at here, I don't know what point I'm getting at. I'm kind of lost here, but appreciate the kind words, Riza. Riza said, highly recommend Dream Clients, y'all. It's been so helpful to have hand-holding along the way. I've loved it. Loved getting to help you out. And we still got some time together, which is awesome. So I'm going to enjoy getting to do even more with you on that stuff. T says, honestly, everyone do it. It's been the best investment in our business, and we are so grateful. Oh, love you guys so much. Thank you. So anyhow, that link's there. I think we had a couple questions, so I do want to get to those. Brecca says, so if it's not our portfolio contact and about me, what was it? What is it? And I think the question is, what do you want people to go to? So I have some thoughts on this, and there are specific things that I teach my Dream Clients members. What really matters, though, is what do you think people need to see and engage with in order for them to become a client that you are thrilled to have an inquiry from? What do the people need to see, the visitors need to see, in order for them to become thrilled to be working with you? So the reason why I frame it that way is because very few of us as wedding photographers ever sit and think, what would a visitor, you know, a couple that's looking for a wedding photographer, what would they need to see? Not just to think, oh, I want to inquire. What would they need to see in order to feel excited about reaching out to me with a desire, almost like they want to be, like working with me would be like getting on the inside of a club. So I challenge you, if you have not thought through that yet, to sit down and really think through it, because here's the deal. If you don't know your ideal client very well, you won't be able to do this, because you cannot, just like we're talking about the mental model, you've got to be in their mind. The only way that you can get into their mind is by you getting them into your mind first. It's essentially like an echo. We are developing a picture in our mind of our ideal client. Then because of that, we're sending out this signal that then gets responded to. So I cannot stress enough how important it is to almost, it sounds weird, but it's like almost getting into a meditative state about your ideal client, doing the research where you understand them deeply, you understand their values, and then you know, okay, what would they need to see in order to see their own selves more clearly, and then want to draw nearer to me because they know that I see them. And if you ever meet somebody, you need to write down, this is another good exercise to do, you write down a list of people, even if you just can think of like 1 to maybe 3 people that you truly believe have seen you. And I want you to sit down, write down who those people are. And I'm saying not just seen you physically, but like they really get you. You go, this person gets me. You might only come up with one person, or depending on what personality type you are, you might come up with none. Right? Oh, this is so funny. I'm getting distracted. I just had somebody message me and said, just booked another 7K and they only wanted to spend 4K. Love it. This is a Dream Client member as well. I'm like just blown up. My mind is blown. I love you guys. So anyhow, I'm so off track now. The ability to draw your ideal client in and knowing what they need to see, in therefore having that process of, okay, they need to see 1, 2, 3, and then guiding them through conversion science, conversion metrics, good copy, all these things into those steps. Now, to be very general, and this is tough because this is a lot of this type of stuff that I like hand hold my dream clients through, and it has so much nuance to it. So I'm going to tell you this, but Whether or not it's going to make sense without hand holding you through it and walking you through it, I'm not for sure. So I'm going to say it. We'll go from there. An experience page and about page generally are two pages that if visitors go to those pages and they're done well, they will convert at a high percentage. Okay? Now this is there's so much nuance to it. I could be here for 2 hours talking about this. We're already going on about what, 45 minutes, 40 minutes. Experience page, done well. About me page, done well. Those tend to be the two highest converting pages. A sequence like homepage, experience page, about page, contact is a very, very good sequence. Versus, and you kind of think about it, it's like, okay, well, if someone's coming in and they're going, I got to see what it's like working with this person. I really want to know more about them. Doesn't that sound a lot different than someone that comes in and goes, yeah, let me see their photos. I wonder how much they cost. Like, which of those two different experiences or people, pathways, do you think sounds like somebody that's going to be more fun to work with? Let me know in the comments. Number one type, and you can just say one or two. Number one person that just goes, let me see their photos. Oh, let me see their pricing. Or the person that says, wonder what it's like working with them. I really want to get to know more about them. Which one? Go into the comments. If you think number one, comment number one. If you think number two, comment number two. Azina says, I'm loving it. Need to rewatch. Oh, that's awesome. I love your name, by the way, too. Heather says, I need this replay. Hey, the replay's not even out yet. But I love it. Brecca says, I love that. I do believe I have several brides that have seen me. That's great perspective. Thank you. Yeah, and let me go back to that point real quick. When I'm talking about people that have seen you, I'm talking about just anybody in your life. Parent, friend, sibling, spouse, it could be anybody. And if you, just to speak more to that point, if that person has seen you, think about how it's impacted you, especially how it's impacted you in regards to that person. It's very powerful. And I will tell you, this is how a lot of people that are bad emotionally, destructive people, they learn this type of stuff and they know how to manipulate people in the same way. It's that powerful. Some of the greatest manipulators there have ever been have been people that use these powers for evil. Right? So I beg you, if you're learning this stuff, please use it for good. Please use it for good, because this stuff is incredibly powerful for you to learn. Now, obviously, if you're using it for your business, hopefully you're going to be using it for good. Right? But I encourage you, like, here's an example. You can use this kind of stuff if you understand it in your marriage. Like, I'm just saying if you're married. There's other parental relationship, whatever. But I'm just saying, like, if you learn this type of stuff and you understand how to relate to people in an emotional way like this, not only can it help you drastically improve your marketing, can drastically improve how you interact with people, like relationships. This is why I love people learning this stuff instead of me just doing SEO. Right? Like, I could have started just an SEO agency, just gone into people's websites and done stuff. But what I've realized is if you really develop this internal growth that we're talking about here, this internal perspective shift, this attaining of knowledge, and you're able to do it yourself, it creates a more cohesive experience, because now they come to your website and they feel like they're meeting you. There's that object permanence, that sense that they close their laptop lid and you're still there, even when they can't see your website. Right? Like, then when they meet you, you have that same sort of essence carried into their interactions with you. And it creates congruency. If I was to do this for somebody, my biggest concern has always been, if I do it for somebody, not only can I really not do it for you, just because it's like, there's so much depth here, then everybody's clients are different, there's nuance. Again, without being too lengthy here, I don't even know if it'd be possible to do this stuff for somebody. let's say I did, then they meet you and there's incongruence. They're like, I felt like they were this person, but then I met them, and you don't really have that image sort of crafted into your mind of your ideal client. So the connection doesn't really feel like it's carried over into the actual, say, you've met them in person or the Zoom call or whatever. Right? That's why I'm so passionate about you developing these skills. They're very useful skills to have in any sort of relationship, whether it's a client relationship or, marriage or family, whatever it may be. So anyhow, guys, number 2. I know we got some number 2 people, so nobody said number 1. So I'm gonna say yay, guys. Thank you for being here. Appreciate you all. Again, I'll put the link down there one more time. If you've really enjoyed this and you want to get on the Dream Clients waitlist, it is there. I've got it for you. If you're watching replay, by the way, #replay. And let's keep the conversation going. You guys can keep chatting, even if it's a replay. You can keep asking questions. You can keep the chat going inside of here. I'm so grateful for you all. Remember, we do these live streams every single week. Every single week, we go into topics that are, I'll tell you, pretty much every topic I talk about is straight from me having conversations and working with my Dream Clients members. So this is from the field stuff. I'm not just making it up and pulling stuff out of thin air. It's field tested. Okay, so join me every week. We do these on Thursdays, and we've been landing usually around like 5:30 to 6:30. We're probably going to stick, at least for the foreseeable future, to 6:15 Eastern Standard. So mark it on your calendar. Just appreciate you guys. Thank you for being here. Hope to see you around inside the group. Feel free to ask questions. Feel free to interact. Cannot wait to interact with you guys more. If you got value out of this, comment value for me. Just comment value. Lets me know. We've kind of gotten a lot of comments that have already said that you resonated with this. So I appreciate you guys more than you know. But we'll shut it down for today. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next week. Until then, see ya.